Good morning, everyone. This is the Mastermind Millennial. This is another episode of Daily Inspiration. I'm trying to share with you everything that I read on a daily basis. So today, using my New International Version 50th Anniversary Bible app, I read another really good scripture from the book of Mark, chapter 10. It's probably best to start at 35 and go to 45. But the main scriptures today were Mark 10, verses 44 and 45. And so the title of this actual passage is called The Request of James and John. If you're unfamiliar with this story, Jesus was just hanging out with his apostles. They were chilling. And James and John posed a question. They said, "Hey, Master," or Jesus, "Hey, we're going to ask you something. Could you just say yes?" And Jesus is like, "Okay, well, what do you want?" So they were like, "Hey, can we sit next to you in heaven at your right hand?" And Christ is like, "You don't really know what you're asking." But instead of condemning them, he teaches them. And another subtitle of this is called, or has to do with, being humble. And so, as Christians, ultimately, being humble goes a long, long way. And instead of condemning them, Christ was talking about in his response. Basically, he was telling them, you're not really sure what you're asking, because those things that you're asking of me are granted by God in heaven. And so what Christ is really getting at, Christ is basically saying that God has a plan for every one of us. And for all of those who humble ourselves to follow his plan, he will elevate us to a position no one else will have. See, the apostles had not realized yet that God had a position for them. And if you want to know what that position is, you can find it in the book of Revelation, chapter 21, verses 14 to 21. It's a beautiful vision of New Jerusalem in which God makes the apostles a part of. But to get back to the lesson of the scripture, it's talking about humility. Christ is calling us to be a servant because he was the greatest servant of all. Now, where am I getting this? If you want to parallel this particular teaching in Mark chapter 10, verses 35 through 45, with the keynote scripture of 44 and 45, parallel this with Philippians chapter 2. And it tells us how Christ was the greatest servant of all. In Philippians chapter 2, verses 7, we read that it says that Christ took on the nature of a servant, being made in human likeness, and being found in appearance as a man, he humbled himself by becoming obedient to the death, even to the death of the cross. Therefore God exalted him to the highest place and gave him a name that is above every name. You see, Christ was trying to explain to him that don't be so eager to get positions of greatness. Be eager in humbling yourself and being a servant of God, and God will find the perfect place for you. So that's all I have today. If you're inspired, by all means, share, think on it, chew on it, read up for yourself. Have a great day.